So today I'm showing you 13 of the best tricks to grow on YouTube according to you guys. I carefully selected all of our most popular tips from our videos with ex-YouTube employee Jon Youshaei and made it into one giant video for you to consume. So like and enjoy the advice.
How can I make my subscribe CTA as powerful as possible? I actually went deeper with MatPat and how he's done this exact strategy to get millions of subscribers across his 4 channels. And here's how he put it into practice.
The ideal call to action is in the first third of your video, in the middle of content, and you make it into a game. It's like Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather, right? That's a very easy one to do. So today we're gonna analyze why Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul is gonna be a rigged game and no one's gonna walk out on top. But first, make sure that you Logan punch that subscribe button in the next 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Did you do it? You did it. Congratulations. Okay, you just got one more punch in than Logan Paul. Let's begin the episode.
Most creators don't do that, so if you can, you'll be ahead of the game. How do you draw in new viewers? All right, search is gonna be your best friend, especially when you're trying to get initial traffic. And a great way to get content that feeds into search traffic is to use Google Trends and use it in a way that most people don't. So go to trends.google.com, filter by YouTube search instead of web search, type in the words related to your niche and see which one is highest and start making content around that first. And to make it even easier, TubeBuddy has a great tool which you could just plug in that shows your search volume, the competition for that search term, and the overall score for any search term right when you put it into YouTube, which can be super helpful in helping decide what to make content about to build your initial audience. If you're a channel with next to no subscribers, does the time of day when you post matter? Okay, this is a great question. I get this a lot. The short answer is yes, it does matter. The long answer is a bit more complicated. So here's a few thoughts. Number one, obviously check your analytics on YouTube Studio and see when your audience is most active and pick around that. But number two, if you're a new creator, your analytics may not tell the full story because you haven't developed an audience. So think about your audience's daily habits. For example, if you're making content for younger viewers in high school, uploading during school hours probably won't help. If all else fails, look at Sunday morning or the weekend when people are typically available and you could post then until you see where your analytics tells you to go otherwise. The next thing I'd say, and a lot of people miss this, is try to upload on non-obvious increments. For example, avoid the 10 o'clock, 10:15, 10:30 a.m. Instead, try uploading at 10:07 a.m. Why? Because your notification in the app won't be crowded with all the other creators who schedule their videos in those obvious increments. And the last thing I'd say here, it's actually more important to upload at the same time versus trying to find the perfect time, even if you use all the methods above. Reason being, your audience will grow accustomed to when you upload, and if you experiment constantly with different upload times, you won't be able to tell if the changes in your content are affecting views and retention, or if it's the upload time that's affecting it. How can I improve my iPhone's camera quality without buying the newest iPhone? All right, go to settings, camera, and increase the resolution to 4K because the default is usually much lower than that. And then when filming, try to use the back of the phone camera, which is much better than the front. And a bonus tip if you're posting on Instagram, hit the 3 lines button and turn on high quality uploads, which is most usually toggled off. How do you write the introduction for your shorts? Okay, it's funny that you say introduction because a lot of people are like the first 3 seconds really matters. But for me, the first 0 second matters when it comes to a short. And I like to call this the first frame rule because I think you have to think about the first frame, literally what people see at the first 0 seconds of your short when they're scrolling in their feed as obsessively as you think about your thumbnail for long. And really what this means is that you need to set up tension and expectation in that first 0 seconds to really get people to stick around. So for example, for my creator versus celebrity shorts, what I literally did is I went to FedEx and I printed a poster with a photo of Tom Cruise and Mr. Beast, for example. And this was the first frame that really set up the hook. Instead of me going on and rambling and saying, hey, do you know this person? Do you know this person? We're here talking about creators versus celebrities. Like that entire 3 to 4 seconds of an intro would have taken away from it. And I really thought about how to visually compress that to a first frame. So I think for your shorts, think about the first frame, think about how you could visually hook people instead. How do I make videos consistently if I have a job and family?
All right, this is something I thought about a lot while I was making content during my off time while working on Instagram and YouTube. And the biggest advice I could give is batch production, scheduled release. If you're working a job, if you're gonna spend time with family, you wanna make sure you're not context switching too much between that and being creative and getting in flow state. Because if you don't, you're just gonna be waking up thinking about video ideas, they're not gonna be that good. Instead, I recommend taking time to batch your production. Spend time once a week really thinking about different ideas, scripting them out, and try and do 3 or 4 in one sitting. And then if you can, film then or schedule another time so you could take care of the production of it. And that way you batch it all together and then schedule the release. So let's say once a week you batch the production, which I would do on Sunday nights when I was working my day job, so it wasn't on their time. And then I would schedule the release during the week in the mornings before my job started. So I think about it like that: batch, production, scheduled, release. What's the best way to launch a YouTube channel, especially with no external traffic? Make sure you follow the 5-video rule, which is a rule that I actually talked about in my interview with MatPat, who has started multiple YouTube channels with millions of subscribers each.
So when you're starting a channel, the biggest mistake everyone makes is they launch the channel with nothing on it or just one video. Don't do that. Dude, come on, guys. Think about it this way, right? Watch time matters. And so if you're telling people, go watch this thing, and there's nothing for them to watch, or there's nothing for them to like latch onto, you're telling YouTube, this is a channel that isn't gonna retain people very long. And so when we launch a channel, we launch it with 5 videos. So that way people go on a significant watch time journey in that first week period. So that way it tells YouTube, wow, this is a great channel that's gonna get people to watch and they're gonna be really engaged. And it shows your audience that you're committed to it too.
So don't launch with 1 video like most YouTubers do. Instead, launch with 5 videos. And on top of that, I'd say make sure those 5 videos are slightly different styles and formats while still keeping it related to your niche, so you can experiment with what resonates most and double down on that for your next 5 videos and so forth. How do I reach a more global audience if I only speak English? Great question. TubeBuddy actually has a tool that automatically translates your video titles and description into other languages, so your video shows up for even more people around the world. And especially since YouTube will index those translated words for people searching in different languages, it's a great tool, and you can reach many more people with your existing video with just a few clicks of the button. How do I find more memes and pop culture references to make my videos more Gen Z friendly? Go to playphrase.me, type in any word, and its AI will actually find scenes from popular movies and memes using that exact phrase in them. Then just hit the download button and edit those clips into your video to add some pop culture references that will make your video a little more interesting.
Oh, interesting.
This is interesting.
Very interesting.
What % retention should I aim for my shorts to really take off? And so to answer this question, I actually had a chance to look at my YouTube analytics, and I found that there's 2 differences between the shorts that I have that have over 2 million views, including 2 of which that now have over 40 million views on those shorts, versus the ones that have flopped. And I'm not trying to sugarcoat it, because there's definitely stuff that's not taking off. And what I've seen, the differences between the ones that blew up, is that those that blew up, that did really well, had retention rates between 80 to 85%, and one that was a total anomaly with a rate above 90%. And I think duration matters as well. So all these shorts were about 20 to 30 seconds in duration. So what does that mean? Well, at least for my type of content, it seems that people are more willing to watch a 30-second short twice than a 60-second video once. And it's much harder to keep people around for that full minute. So something to keep in mind.
How do I find amazing B-roll for my videos for free? All right, there's this amazing tool called Cover that gives you free B-roll, and all you have to do is this. Go to their website, cover.co, cover with 2 R's, and type in what you're looking for. There's hundreds of free stock options that will pop up. Just pick your favorite one, and once you select the one you like best, click download, and you may see a link that says thanks in the pop-up, and just feel free to share the website with friends as a thank you. And then boom, you got premium B-roll, so you should be good to go. And as a bonus tip, if you're looking for free stock photos that don't look like stock photos, try unsplash.com. Just go to their website, type in what you're looking for, and then pick from their trending items, and then you can just download and take it from there. So easy peasy. How do I tell better stories? All right, follow this 4-step process to tell better stories. Intro, problem, solution, outro. And this is actually a process that Nas daily uses obsessively to grow to 30 million followers across social media. The intro is the hook, and then comes the problem, solution, and outro, which could sound like this.
Did you know that the United Arab Emirates is one of the driest countries in the world? How do they drink? That's a problem.
Yeah.
But you never thought about this problem ever in your life. But now you're interested in the solution to that problem. Then you walk them through the solution, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then there's always an outro. There's always a call to action, which is, yeah, this is really not about the Emirates or the drinking or the water or whatever. This is about water conservation all around the world and including you. So you got to make it a little bit personal.
And in that outro, it's key that you bring it back to the viewer. So if you tell a story about water conservation in the Emirates, for example, then you should think about how to conserve water in your own life so the viewer ties it back to their day-to-day.
This question comes from Jenny Hoyos, who asked a great question about the relationship between your shorts and your long form videos, specifically when it comes to discovery. It's in YouTube's best business interest to make sure that shorts and long form help recommend to each other and help grow a channel as a whole, as opposed to being separate entities. I think about ways to try to push your short form audience to your long form to create that relationship between the two. And one thing that I do is obviously, how can I think about making sure that my shorts really get at the same value prop and try to be a teaser for my long form. So the obvious version of that is having short form cut downs of interviews. But then for me, I like to think about, okay, the creator versus celebrity format or these segments, or I have this segment called Draw Your Income in my long form interview. That is meant to be a clippable short that I could take out and then put it into its own YouTube short or its own TikTok or reel, and then people can discover that on its own because it's very much a segment. So I think about what are segments that you could deliberately plan in your long form to be able to take it out and not just make it a soundbite because everybody's doing that, but really make it a moment that could live on its own. And for me, Draw Your Income was a version of that, but I think a lot of people don't think about that deliberately enough. They just kind of like take something that was meant for a long form horizontal, whereas you could do a lot to try to think about, okay, I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna film it within the context of a horizontal video, especially if you're gonna do a collab, but it's gonna live as a short as well.